4 years ago, I found myself in an abusive relationship, and given the political climate pretty much everywhere in the world right now, whether it's what's going on in Afghanistan and women cannot even speak no more, or the presidential elections in the US, I really wanted to make this video like kind of like a prevention case, because abuse is such a recurrent theme in everybody's life, but particularly women and minorities. So if you ever find yourself in this situation, you just want advice and you just want to, make sure that you are in an abusive relationship by going through my video and seeing like the same patterns in my case and your own. Or if you could potentially watch my video and not find yourself in this type of situation, that would be amazing. Like, this is my only goal today. Hi everybody, I'm Violetta, and well, first of all, I love to talk. Secondly, I have a lot of experience. I literally lived 1,000 lives already. When I look back, even like 2 years ago, I do not even recognize myself. When I look 4 years back, this is when my abusive relationship happened. I'm still asking myself so many questions, like how on earth did this even happen to me? Because many people have this common misconception that abusive relationships only happen to certain type of people and it would never happen to me. This is completely fake. This is completely wrong. They just happen. Some people need to work on certain traumas that they were not able to heal earlier in life. For some people, it's just like that. It just happens. You cannot blame nobody. But what you could do is to learn a little bit more about that, so you would be able to not get yourself in one of those situations. So my abusive relationships happened during COVID, and it was already like a very funny time for, I would say, pretty much everybody. We found ourselves completely isolated, but funny thing, in my case, it was a good thing, because I didn't know back then that my ex was a drug addict, basically a junkie, because they wouldn't do any of the substances when they were just in the comfort of the home. It only started outside. So it was actually nice, because I could, like, from the way they behaved, I assumed they were a normal person, because they would take care of the house, of the dog, of the cat that they had, at least at the beginning. And it's when the COVID was over that I could see clearly that they had so many toxic behaviors, first of all within themselves, like to just their own self and their own body and mind, aka drinking, aka doing drugs with all sorts of people who really did not have their best interest. And I think it's really important to, when you start dating somebody, to not only see how they behave with you, but also compare how to behave with other people. Because when I did start to compare, I'm like, this is actually interesting, because you're telling me that you've been best friends with this person for the last 10 years, and I can clearly see you lying to them. What does it mean that you're doing the same thing to me? Because you've been lying to them for what, like 10 years, and you and I were already met, so I assume lying is already a part of you. So COVID was really like no social interactions, just you and I. And as I said at the beginning, it looked like a completely normal relationships, because it is always like that at the very beginning. They're not gonna show you the true self from day one. It's gonna take them time to love bomb you, to mislead you, to manipulate you, but it's gonna start very, very slowly. So it is completely fine if you do not recognize those things straight away. So I tried to break down my whole relationships into 7 steps that I feel like are very common steps in any type of abusive relationships. And it's funny, because recently I watched an interview with FKA Twigs, who also had an abusive relationship with the famous actor. And she was saying such a smart thing. She said, like, all abusers are actually pretty much the same. Like, they think that they're such creative and innovative people. They are not. Every abuse case starts with the same thing, go through the same thing, ends as the exact same thing. So if you're an abuser, bitch, you fucking suck. Like, come up with better ideas at least. So the first step to me was isolation. As I said, we were already naturally kind of isolated during COVID, but I could already feel them wanting, like, to spend more time with me, to a point where it would get excessive. Like, especially at the beginning of your relationship. Yes, of course you want to spend time with your partner, or like if you just seen each other with your potential partner, but there are limits. You still have to go to work, you still have to see your best friends, see your family, do whatever feels good to you. And they would do their best to just, drag me out of those situations. They would like literally call me all the time, like, what are you doing? Where are you? I'm like, I'm just, with my friends having a drink. No, but I miss you so much. They're not gonna shame you. They'd be like, oh my God, playing with your feelings. I miss you so much. Could you please come back home? Let's spend some time together. And as you like them, you're like, oh, actually, no. That's a cute thing, so maybe I should. But this is only step 1. Step 2 is criticism, and this one is hard, because they're gonna belittle you as much as they can. And once again, if it's the beginning of the relationship, they're not gonna just straight away insult you. They're gonna find ways to belittle you that, make them sound as a joke. And then once you call them out on that, like, hey, I kind of feel hurt, that was disrespectful, they're just gonna proceed with saying, oh my God, you're so sensitive, you're such a little sensitive girl, and you are not. Your feelings are completely valid. And I remember specifically my ex would tell me, oh, you're very beautiful. Like, if I walk down the street, I would absolutely look at you, but you're not really my type. And I'm like, what? Like, you and I, we're already dating. We're already in a relationship. And you telling me, like, I'm not your type? What the hell? Like, to me personally, when I'm dating somebody, they are the type to me. They are my ideal type. I love them. I appreciate them. I like the way their hair looks, the way their body looks, skin, whatever it is, because I am interested in them. I am invested in them. So why on earth would you say something like that? And there were several things like this where I call them out every time. I'm like, what you're saying it just doesn't make sense. Why would you be with somebody who isn't your type? Why would you be with somebody who you don't find like physically attractive? Which is also stupid because just look at me. But it is, once again, it is a way for them to show you how little you are, how small you are, how unimportant you are. So at one point in life, you would eventually start believing it. Because the step 3 is gaslighting. So you imagine, like, they start with all this criticism, and as you like them, your brain kind of feels like they're saying the truth. Like, if they say you're not good enough at something, you're gonna eventually end up believing that. And the gaslighting is so funny to me because I have a really good memory. I am very intentional with my words and actions, and I remember the things that I do. So when they would take words out of my mouth and tell me, no, this is not what you said, or this is not what you meant, and I knew for a fact that that was not the case, a part of me was so angry. But then, as I said, on the other side, they make sure that you find yourself in this bubble of isolation and criticism, and eventually your brain gives up. And it's the case for everybody. Once again, do not think that you are exceptional and that wouldn't happen to you. Unfortunately, it happens to everybody. So yes, your brain goes like, oh my God, maybe they're telling the truth. Maybe if they keep repeating those things, maybe they're actually doing it for my best interest. Maybe they're trying to help me in life. Maybe they're trying to help me become a bigger person, work on my flaws. So you start to see yourself as a flawed person. Step 4 is possessiveness and jealousy. And that was also a very big thing for me. I remember my ex would, every time we would be out, hanging out with people, would tell me, oh my God, I could see you flirting with that guy, which was absolutely not the case. When I'm in a relationship, I do not just go and flirt with other people. This is just not who I am. And I would tell him no, absolutely not. Maybe this guy was trying to flirt me, but that's on him. I didn't do anything, to reciprocate this flirt. But they assumed that they could do anything that they wanted. When I would find weird messages with people where I would see my ex being too flirty and crossing the lines, and I would call them out. Or even in public, what I could see them talking to somebody, they had this light in their eyes, and I would be like, listen, you're not being respectful. This looks like flirting to me. They immediately label you as a hysterical person, oh my God, you are just too much. You're overly sensitive, you're overly jealous, because they just trying to play the reversal card. They you are the one whose feelings are completely valid because they are disrespecting you by flirting with other people in front of you, but they just doing the reversal. No, I am actually a very chill person. Also, one important thing to know, all abusers would do their best to show themselves as a chill person, especially in public. They're gonna be funny, cracking jokes, laughing with everybody, having fun, because they want to appear as a chill, because at the end of the day, they want to make sure you look as a crazy one. And you will end up looking like a crazy one because you have your feelings that are valid. You feel them disrespecting you. So you are going to call them out. You are going to tell them this is not fine. And once you're going to say, in a very calm chin manner, second time, you're going to be a little bit more, bubbling up. On the third time, rage will come up on your body. You'll be like, I'm sorry, this shit is completely fucked up. And this is when they label you as a crazy person. Step 5 is mood swings, and this is still something that I'm kind of suffering from because I never saw nobody with such a dysregulated nervous system. This is crazy to me. I know that I am overall a chill person. I can yell if I have to, if I feel like my life is in danger, or if I feel like something bad is happening. But overall, I will find a way to react in a very mature manner. And every minor inconvenience to my ex was such a big deal. There was this time this one time when we were supposed to take an Uber to go to the train station, and we had our dog with us, well, basically their dog with us, and it was really hard to find Uber at the last minute because we like scheduled an Uber and the Uber just wouldn't come, or they refused it because there was a dog. And they, like my ex just got so, like, I don't even know how to explain it. They were mad, they were crying at the same time, they were like anxious and like trembling. And I remember looking at them like, wow, this is actually not a big deal. Like, I understand that, you know, we were a little bit anxious because we might miss the train, but this is fine. Like, our lives are safe, nothing is wrong. So yeah, that was kind of a big thing. And same for fighting. Every time we would fight, my ex would immediately start to insult me, call me names, cry, break things, and then later would come to me like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I behaved like this, actually I did it because I love you so much, which is obviously completely fake. But yeah, in the moment it was a big thing because I do not react like that. Like, I don't see any reasons to react like this, unless obviously you're in an abusive relationship and your brain is just damaged at one point. So that was really hard. It was like they were throwing tantrums all the time. You know, when you look at kids, and kids are throwing tantrums because they just don't know how to regulate their nervous system yet. You're, as an adult, you're supposed to teach them. Well, abusers very often never had their nervous system regulated. That's why they keep, you know, pushing this type of behavior onto you, onto everybody around them, because you are supposed to be kind of, you know, the person to soothe them. You're supposed to be like the mother in a way. Step 6 is control, and controlling absolutely everything. The way you talk, the way you dress. Like, if you wear something that reveals a little bit too much of your skin, they're not going to tell you that it's ugly. They're just going to tell you like, oh my god, I don't feel like it looks really good on you, it's not good for your like natural features, and you're going to believe them because you're like, you know, you're my partner, so if you tell me this, while in fact they just don't want other people to look at you. Also, going through your phone, and I'm thinking about a friend of mine who also had an abusive relationship, and her ex would go through her phone like all the time, to a point where she just didn't want to talk to nobody no more. Like, even not to me. She just like, you know what, it's just too much, because whatever I'm saying, he is gonna misinterpret it, and it's gonna just play against me. So this is too much hustle. I don't want to put myself in this situation. I'd rather not even talk to nobody at all. But once again, it just brings you back to the isolation. As you're not talking to other people, you just completely isolate yourself. You're here on your own, fighting this demon. Step 7, and the last step, is verbal abuse, followed by physical abuse. You should know one important thing. Once you reach this stage, there is no going back. This is your everyday reality now. This is how they're going to treat you on a daily basis. Once they put their hand on you, however they do it, this is going to be daily reoccurrence. This is why it's so important. If you ever reach this stage, you should pack your things straight away. You should go and leave. You should never call them back. You should block the number. It doesn't matter. Even if you still have some clothes left at their place, either, you know, organize it with your friends or your family to pick them up, or just forget in the first place that you had them, because it is physically dangerous for you to go back to that person. I actually read a study that was very interesting. They said that when you're breaking up with a man, like if you're a woman and you're breaking up with a man, honestly, do it either in a public place or do it through message, because if you're one-on-one with him, like let's say in somebody's apartment, there is a very high risk of abuse, of physical abuse, him abusing you, because this is how men take things. Most men, very unfortunately, see women as objects. So he sees you as his object, as his property. So you telling him like you no longer want to be with him, there's a chance of him hitting you, slapping you, whatever it is. So just a friendly advice, do it in a public place like a cafe, restaurant, whatever it is you prefer, or do it by message, just in terms of your own safety. That's it. One interesting thing that I also read is that basically nobody can lie for longer than like 3 to 4 a month. And as I said, all abusers at the beginning are going to seem like a completely different person. They're going to love bomb you. They're going to be so nice. They're going to buy you gifts, and you'll be like, oh my god, all of this attention all of a sudden like directed to me. This is so nice. But then their intentions will be revealed within the next 3 to 4 months. So if you have your doubts at the beginning and it seems like a normal relationship, give it 3 months. And also one valuable advice, do not move in with them immediately. Like, first of all, don't move in with anybody within 3 months. 9 times out of 10, it is not a good idea. You're supposed to have your own apartment, you're supposed to have your own job, so you know at least you have the safety pocket, which is very important, especially as a woman. Wait for 3 months.
If in this time lapse of 3 months you feel like a lot of the things that I just mentioned, like one of the 7 steps or more than 7 steps recurs, just literally take a journal, write everything down, and if you see a lot of them being mentioned, or you will mention several times, leave that person. This person is potentially very dangerous to you. Also, please, if you ever find yourself in this relationship, first of all, I'm really sorry for you. I know that how hard it is, and I know how hard society is also on victims, and this is something that I also experienced, a lot of victim shaming, and I'm not going to talk about it today, but maybe some other time if you guys are interested. But please make sure that you reach out to your friends, your family, your therapist, your work colleagues, whoever is around you, and you ask them first of all for advice, because you really learn things in comparison. You cannot know if everything is normal unless you compare some things. Like, let's say you're a young person and you find yourself in a difficult relationship, go to your friend and tell them, listen, this is how things are for me. I just wanted to know your point of view. Like, do you feel like it's normal? Do you feel like how it's supposed to be? I'm telling you, your friend will tell you straight away, especially if they're a little bit more experienced than you, or your mother, or your father, whoever. They're going to tell you straight away to leave this person and never come back. So I know that the abuser is doing the best to isolate you. Please, please, please still keep in touch with some people and just be vulnerable with them. Tell them the raw truth. It is fine what's going on with you. There is no shame. There is zero shame, because a lot of people went through these situations. Like, I was there, maybe you, maybe somebody you know, so there is no shame. Just be vulnerable, tell them what's going on. And once again, really remember that abusive relationships can happen to anybody. Nobody is protected. So please have some human decency to not shame the victims of any type of abuse, whether it's a man, woman, non-binary person, anybody, it doesn't matter. Shaming them is the worst possible thing that you can do, because it is none of their fault. You also might not have the context or the experience to understand what they went through. So the only thing you can do is to show them empathy. That's literally it. If you don't have enough empathy, you just tell them straight away, listen, I'm not sure I can tell you anything. I don't understand what's going on with you. But do not shame them in any way. Like, how horrible would that be of you just as somebody who considers yourself as their friend or whatever you are together, to just go straight away, listen, I'm just going to judge you. I'm just going to make fun of your experience. This is so invalidating, and a lot of people unalive themselves after abusive relationships. So let's not forget about the danger of everything. So once again, please reach out to people. Please talk. In a lot of countries, they also have hotlines where you can call somebody and tell them, listen, I feel like I'm in a situation of danger. Like, my life is in danger, or my kid's life is in danger, or whoever. Could I talk to you? There are a lot of numbers. You can literally Google them. You can look them up. And please make sure you put yourself first and never the person you are dating. I hope that it was helpful. And if you were interested in that, if you just want to talk about it, or if you want me to make more content about that, I would love to, because I do have a lot to say.